Where's the love? Where's the love? It's right here in the heart of the city. I'm Silas Grant. I got my man with me.
What's up, Joe?
TL, what's up?
Here, man.
Yeah.
Live and free, free and alive, man, as they say.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? I'm all right. What's up with you?
I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm all right.
And, cold April.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's going on, man.
You know what I'm saying? Looking like fall out this, Joe.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, bro. That's all right. We're going to get over this hump. Weather about to change. About to be our season, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, about to be that time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm looking forward to the spring, summer, though, bro.
Yeah, I am, man. I'm looking forward to it. One of the things I think about as I get older is there are days where it's nice outside during this time of year, March, April, May, and I might have something I got to do. And I say every time, like, next year, man, just make sure you don't miss any of those days, like those nice Sundays, you know what I mean, nice Saturdays or whatever the case may be. And just trying to be more intentional about, mapping out when I got to do stuff.
Yeah.
That get in the way of me just enjoying the day.
Yeah, that's a good one. You know I'm horrible with planning, you know what I'm saying, organizing or whatever the case may be. But, you know what I mean, as much as I've been able to, bro, I'm committed to, carving out space, man, to do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, I think that's important, man, especially for those of us that, spread ourselves thin, family-wise, of course, community-wise, and all the above. But for real, this year, bro, it's just things that I'm unapologetically focusing on things that I want to do. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And whatever that may be. So like you said, like, nah, I can't. I ain't missing stuff. If I want to do that, I'm doing it, bro. Cause you just, again, we not in this. You just don't know. You don't know if next year.
Yeah, you don't know.
You feel me?
You got a milestone coming up this year too.
45. Yeah, 45. Yeah. 4/5 and Glocks.
Yeah.
Jordan, man, come back.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Nah, I can't believe that, honestly. You know what I'm saying? That sounds weird to me that I'm going to be 45. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to be 45, man. I'm excited, though, about that. I haven't even given no thought to, like, what I'm going to do.
Right.
But, again, it's going to be something I want to do, though. You know what I mean? Yeah, so, man. My 10-year anniversary this month, too. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we 10 years, 23rd.
Okay.
So it's like, that's crazy, too.
2015. Okay. I didn't realize that. All right.
Yep, 2015, bro. Yep. 10 years, man. You know what I'm saying? Grandma be gone 10 years this year. 2015, we got the house redone.
Yeah.
2015 was a big year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Ups and downs, but it was more, losing my grandma, that was, of course, we lost her the day after Christmas that year.
Sure. Yeah.
But the only reason I bring that up, but like, got married in April 23rd, moved in the house May 21st. The house was finished. We moved in, and so between May 21st and December 23rd, when she went to the hospital, but that was such a beautiful 6. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That joint was just, and it wasn't even. We was saying that then though. Just to see how much she enjoyed the new design of the house. And
that's always a great thing when you can acknowledge it in the moment. It's very few times when right then this is special.
100%. And she would say it. Also, Slug came out in 2015. July 31st. You know what I'm saying? And
I don't know why all that never felt like it was.
Bro. Like, all that stuff happened in the same year. It's nuts. Yeah. And what I was thinking about, what Grandma made me think about the book was, I remember the second load I ordered, got out of books, 1,500 books. When they bring it just on the freight joint and just set the joint in front of your house. And this particular day, the first time I did it, we was just moving in the house, right? So I had people outside. I had people to help me bring the books in the house. The second time it came, Shaky wasn't around, wasn't nobody around. Nobody was skinning, or nobody, the dudes, Wilson and all the people that used to be outside for this particular reason, whatever reason, wasn't nobody outside, bro. And my grandma was sitting in the living room, and she watched me bring. So 1,500 books so it's like basically about 40 boxes of 40 books.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. And I had to take all them joints off that crate joint and bring them in the house, bro. I never forget. Grandma looked at me. She said, "Boy, you a man and not a mouse." You know what I'm saying? We laughed about that, but we had them kind of moments, bro. She kept telling this one like Uber Eats and Postmates first come out.
Sure. Yeah.
She tell order Ruth Chris like she wanted. We ordered it and she takes like, order that. Got her little Amex. I said, "Grandma, don't." I was like, yeah, man, we had some good moments, man, and that 2015. So anyway, 2025, I'm, we coming to this year losing Bonnie, so it's like 10 years later we get another loss of like a very similar magnitude.
Yeah.
But plan on, having some incredible times though. You know what I'm saying? I gotta do something to commemorate the release of Slug too. Yeah, man. I've been thinking about a lot about the I did it once, the audio book, but then the file got messed up with the engineer, you know what I'm saying? And I just didn't ever get the motivation to go and do it again because I did it. You know what I'm saying? But I think I want to do that. And so we going on the record for that, record that and try to re-release. And then, at my father home. So, being able to like maybe bring some new chapters to, you know what I'm saying?
It'd be interesting to see people see his response to the book. Because y'all have done a lot of interviews, right?
Yeah, sure.
Where y'all have talked about mass incarceration, y'all have talked about reunification. But I don't think I've seen a platform where y'all talk specifically about the book.
Yeah, no, we haven't.
Yeah.
We haven't. Yeah.
I think that'd be a good thing to kind of
cool,
see his
man.
perspective on.
And I might even, to the point where in like parts of the book, you know what I'm saying, might have him read it.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm talking in terms of the audio book.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like when I'm describing our interactions that he like maybe he read it. I think it's a little different ways we could go with it, but I'm looking forward to that, and also on that note, maybe even getting closer to maybe bringing the book and our lives to the screen in some regards.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man, 2025, man, we're gonna do it big.
That's it. So we talked about 10 years ago, in that part of the discussion, but 5 years ago, 2020. We all experienced the pandemic, COVID-19. It impacted not only, us in the United States, but the entire globe.
Yeah, when you say everybody, that's real.
Everybody.
The world.
Yeah. Where were you when you, well, we got to go back. I was about to ask a question. First of all, y'all, I'm going to look in the camera and say this to y'all, all right? I want y'all to listen to me and look at me. Put the camera as close as you can to me, man, Marcus, if you can, for this moment. November, maybe 2019, Tony was the first person that was talking about COVID-19 outside of people on the news. Everybody else, I don't know how many group chats he's in with other people, but I can tell you, anybody that knows him intimately, that talks to him on text or, in person, he was telling everybody, y'all got to get ready. COVID-19 is coming, it's coming, it's coming. And we used to laugh. We would laugh. And I feel bad now because the carnage that COVID-19 did to the world.
Yeah.
And you were literally the first person like, man, get y'all waters, get your masks.
Tone, y'all get all type of day. I told you, Slim, listen.
A good 4 months before, you
Real
was like,
talk.
It's coming.
Hey, I don't know if you remember this, though. Remember how psyched I was when I had went to a few CVS. I went to the Giant. I went to the CVS on 7th Street. The John 17 was still open. I went to the CVS on 1st and M. Then I went to the CVS on 12th and
Otis, yeah.
12th and Otis.
Yeah.
Newton, and they had some masks in that jump. And I remember I bought like 3 boxes of masks. I took a picture and sent it to the group chat. But then Jess looking at me, "What, you just wasting money? I said, all right. It was way, like you said, in like November. But bro, I just, when it kept, you know what I'm saying? Like I understood that we live in a global society for real. So it's like when things, and me, I didn't watch Contagion and, whatever. And it's been other examples of how things, spread. You feel me? Like, and so, not that I'm no health junkie or nothing, but in terms of, I'm very interested in that, from Ebola. And I remember when Izzy was first born, this what really did it to me. When Izzy was first born, they had a little Ebola outbreak, not a little, but they had an Ebola outbreak. I forgot. I mean, obviously it was in Africa, but like, and then SARS, and you know what I'm saying? So I never forget, bro. I bought like the suits, like the jokes look like the painter suit jumps. I bought like come with the mask,
NIH joints.
NIH vicious NIH, man. You know what I'm saying? Type jump, right? Patient zero joint. So I bought like 3 of them. Jessica, again, look, so Izzy born in 2013.
Yeah.
All right. 2013. So I had that. So then I started buy like, the little food joint or whatever. Yeah, luncheon. Buying a little water, little non-perishables and shit. So, all right. So when as the uptick, like you said, from that November to 2019, you started hearing more and more coming to the new year. I remember sending y'all a video. I was in Costco. I said, come on, I'm telling y'all remember that one? I'm like, hey, y'all, for real, all jokes aside type thing. So, real quick, just March, like 11th, or whatever that was.
12th, something like that. Yeah.
All right, but on March 11th, me and Angel went over to jail.
Uh-huh.
Hey, hand to God, before we get on camera, I just talked about a lady who, you know what I'm saying, who was in the hospital or whatever, but at that time, she was working over the jail. It's crazy that I wouldn't even think about this till just now. She walked up to me. I'm in the car. I had got Ubered over there. I'm in the car with Angel. I still got the mask on. March 11th. I'm wearing the mask at this point.
Yeah.
She walked up, Tony, what you doing with the mask on your face? I say, hey, Miss Leonard, I'm telling you, this COVID thing real, boy. Right? Me and Angel going to jail. I take the mask off. We get in the jail. I tell the dudes, a lot of Ira guys. I tell the dudes, I said, hey, man, like, let y'all family know when y'all call me. Tell them take this stuff seriously, man. That was I think a Wednesday. The next day, or the third, or Friday was the 13th. That's when the world shut down, bro.
I remember that.
The world. It was like, you know what I mean? I thought it was gonna be for,
like 2 weeks.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know what's crazy? So that 13th date, right? I think the Charlotte Hornets were playing somebody, like maybe Orlando Magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they stopped the game. And they announced it, that they stopped the game. And that's when I was like, oh, this is real.
Yeah.
And you seen people kind of not necessarily running off the court.
Right.
But they was kind of like, man, we got to get out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like if they stop the game, that must mean something.
Yeah.
But I'm saying for the people that's there, right?
And it was just like, oh, this is real.
You know what was interesting though to me, like in the community, when we've been, like where we come from, we've seen so much trauma. We've dealt with so much. It took me back to like when September 11th happened.
Yeah.
Right. And, shortly after that, they canceled it. It was supposed to be the opening week of NFL. And we on O Street, me and the men, you know what I'm saying, and the older homie, I was like, man, they stopping the game for this shit, right?
Yeah.
And I just looked at him and I said, me, I'm giving them, like, what? I said, what you say? He like, what you mean, slug? What you mean what I say? I'm saying, this shit, man, they stopping the I said, hey, bro, we talking about an airplane, right? Just like the airplane hit the Pentagon, the airplane could have flew right here. Well, do you not get the thing? And it was clear, I wasn't trying to judge, but like, yo, do you not get the magnitude of like what's going on? And I felt like that's how it was for COVID. And it's like I'm not saying that from a judgmental standpoint, but it's like sometimes we've been through so much. Sometimes people just this is just another thing, or you know what I'm saying?
It was very apparent early on, like in the first week and a half, because we thought it was gonna be 2 to 4 weeks, right? Yeah. And what I found in that moment, I was realizing it, but definitely in retrospect, if you had money in the bank and a flexible job, you were more likely to be like, okay, I'm gonna comply and put the mask on. I'm staying at home. I'm cool, right?
Sure.
Because you got food in the cupboard, you
Yep.
got money in the bank,
Yep.
your job lets you work from home. It was the people that didn't have money saved up and didn't have flexibility in their job that didn't believe it was real.
Yeah.
So it was almost like you had this preconceived perspective on it based on your own conditions.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
So that kind of connects to your guy with the 9/11 piece. Like, I think, but again, that trauma, like when you're going through that every day, you like, man, I'm just going.
whatever. Hey, it's the end of the world every day for you. So, you know what I'm saying? You really ain't, and that's I remember that. I mean, that you just brought up a key thing too, where you saw, no matter where people were on the socioeconomic strata, sort of difference of opinion, right? And it polarized people. I mean, it literally put people at odds. You know what I'm saying? And everybody became an expert on, no matter which end of the spectrum they were on, everybody became an expert. But think about too what you saw happen online, or on how we're gonna look back at this moment, of course, in COVID, the pandemic changed people, right? It changed humanity. We human differently because of that, right? But when you able to look and watch how technology played a role, right? How the advent of TikTok, right? And you seen Instagram number because people was home. People had, time to do, you talking about kids not in school, bro. Then kids, when they got in school, they went virtual learning. Like, man, that might have set us back. I mean, I think I used to think about this was very present in my mind during that period. 2 kids in the house, but we also had, to your point, 2 parents in the house, 2 parents that could work from home. And we could go and we could buy computers and buy desks, right? We had internet. I could be on my computer and go sit and set you up, start the day with you. Sophie in pre-K 3 when this hit. She just started school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Izzy in kindergarten. Feel me? But all I could think about through that period, all the way through that whole period, was what about how many kids we know, and what if, that we know ain't got this from pre-K 3 to 12th grade. What are they doing? You understand what I'm saying? How many kids that the school is their safe haven? School is their food. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that was one of the things that was pressing every day for me in my mind. The level of gratitude that I had. You know what I'm saying? So like, to your point though, it would be very easy for somebody like me to say, man, we can stay home as long as, tell this stuff, they get a handle on this stuff. You know what I mean? I never wagged my finger at people. Like, my angst always came from sort of the thing that it ain't real. I remember getting on a call, bro. And they ain't saying no names. Get on a call with a national call, not a DC call, a national call, with a lot of prominent people around messaging and how to get. This so early. It was about, guess what it was about? The call wasn't about, I ain't even getting to the vaccine and all that. It was about simply asking people to wear masks. And I remember just hearing these different, like, opinions about, I was just like, wow. Like, damn, this where we at? Like, this where we on? And I remember getting off that call telling the people, look, I don't know where y'all at and what y'all, you know what I'm saying? I know what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? I know what I got. I know what I feel like my responsibility is. You know what I'm saying? To try to help mitigate spread in the way that I, at least at the time that we were being said that, wear a mask, right? So, but I was just I remember thinking, though I had, like you said, I've always been thinking, I'm like, yo, look, I saw, like, yo, we are different. Like, we're changing.
Because, you brought up 9/11, but I noticed, and I was not in D.C. during 9/11. I was in college, right?
Right.
So maybe I got a different perspective because I was out of town at the time.
Right.
But what it felt like as a country was that people were unified. It was a common enemy that was,
sure,
an external enemy, right? And it felt like with COVID, it was going to be that because Trump, who was president for the first time, then was calling it the China virus,
Yeah,
right?
sure enough.
So, but what happened, the difference between 9/11 and COVID was that COVID, it was very clear. People are making decisions for themselves.
Yeah.
I'm healthy. I'm not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Or
And you in some ways that I'm saying if somebody was a potential spreader, your person you love, the person you know became like potentially your enemy. You know, somebody could harm you. You understand what I'm saying? In terms of transmitting, bro. And you know, as somebody who had COVID, bro, I actually thought, hey, I got to like that I'm talking this pre-vaccine.
yeah,
COVID.
you got it before the vaccine. Yeah.
And man, I remember too. God rest her soul, Linda Holly Hoppers. Now had signed me up to get onto like the first responder, because for the people that worked in violence prevention and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I did this like the week before I was supposed to go get the vaccine, the early joint, right? And Jessica got it first. And man, boy, I remember getting to like the 6th, 7th day of that fever. When we was doing 75 hard. It was like the 68th day.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Boy, that thing come down on it. Hey, bruh. And for like, I had a fever for like 8 days. When it got to like the 6th day, bro, because my aunt Barbara came and got the girls. Bro, I had thoughts, I might not see my kids again, bro. I thought that thing, because it's like the fever wouldn't break. It's like I wasn't getting better. Every day, my father calling, you know what I'm saying? You know, he still in, he calling, like, you feel better, man? I'm like, nah, bro. I'm like, I ain't gonna hold you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, man, I can't eat. I ain't eat for like 8-9 days. You know what I'm saying? But obviously, I got through it. But it was one of them things where I was like, listen, family, if you ain't moving a certain way, man, you can't even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did draw a line. I think that it still exists.
Yeah.
And I'm a fake human studies person myself anyway, so I'd be online watching conversations, and I've seen it, man. Like, the line was drawn, and people are still on those sides of the line.
That polarization.
Yeah.
That's a hey, bro. That is so poignant. Because that polarization that it was, because you gotta think it already was there from the Trump was in the White House and all this and that, but the COVID thing and the difference of opinion, you know what I'm saying, push people even further away from each other. You know what I mean? And then I think, of course, you cannot talk about the pandemic without talking about the George Floyd situation. I mean, that happened I'm talking about in the heart of the pandemic, right? The heart of and so people came out to protest for BLM, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, under the guise of don't gather, wear masks, all of these 6 feet, what they called it? Social distancing. Just think about that, bro. All of those things was in the pot. And this country really, though, again, never like fully united, I guess, if you want to call it, but we got as far apart as we probably ever been. That's what we're right there right now. And that period, bro, I think history is going to look back on that moment, that period, 2020 to 2025, really to now, where you said, wow.
That moment made it easier to be polarized around everything else.
Polarized and radicalized.
Yeah, that's a very good combination. Not a good combination, but it's a very good way to describe the combination.
Polarized and then radicalized, because now, and it really, I think, it shut on all of us, not one side or the other, but all of us, right? Either side or people in the middle. It really shut off people from listening. You know what I mean? People that is so caught up in where they are. You know what I mean? And then you long for things to make you right. Oh, told you don't take the shot. Told you we ain't have to wear a mask. Told you it wasn't real. Told you remember it used to be 5G. Told you supposed to just go out in the sun.
My aunt in the
Told you
Pentagon
eat
told me.
oranges, huh?
My aunt in the Pentagon told
Yeah,
me.
but my aunt remember the text that was coming through, like all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I think, instead of it being, we all want the same thing. We all want to be safe, right? We all want, to be healthy. And then like all the people that passed, bro. You know what I mean? If for people to trivialize that, or people to, whether it's conspiracy, whatever it is, it's like, again, I think people got polarized, and then people got radicalized in their thoughts, man. And I think none of us are immune to that. Everything that started to come across your feed, everything that was on TV, everything in the media, media and the news. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what the reset is, but I think part of it is identifying, like, and not like glossing over like what that meant, right? On a world scale, like you said about not being here for 9/11. You was in college. I'm here, but I'm saying we don't know. I think a similar thing has been going on around the world, though. You know what I'm saying? A similar thing been going on around the world as far as coming out of that chaos, that shared trauma. Everybody in the world was going through that, bro. Nobody alive, like none of us was alive with the Spanish flu. It's probably the last time something on that level happened. So
I read a book recently called Same as Ever. The same guy that wrote this book wrote The Psychology of Money. That's a real popular book now. But he said something in the book that really stood out to me. He said sometimes when we get so good at something and we are able to defeat it, that when it comes back later on, there's a less likelihood of defeating it because we got so lax.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the period with Spanish flu, polio, smallpox. Yeah. And basically what he was saying was, like, if you were a kid like in your Aunt Bonnie's age, like, you went through the gauntlet. If you made it through all of that, you was ready for the world. Right? Yeah. Whereas now the pandemic hit and it paralyzed us, right? I mean, like, if you was able to skirt polio,
like you said, smallpox,
all of that stuff back to back in that era.
Measles too.
Measles, all that.
I mean, chickenpox not necessarily deadly, but they went through all that.
So that's the thing that I think we underestimate now. Technology and medical advancements have benefited us, but it also kind of made us soft a little bit.
I think at the time, I think the messaging wasn't right. But I think some people was actually trying to say that. They had a lot of people that were like proponents of like herd immunity. And just, hey, look, let's just go outside, everybody, you know what I'm saying? But again, at the same time, it's like wealthy, healthy, right? That's easy for you to say. You know what I'm saying? People with pre-existing conditions, people with family members with pre-existing conditions. You have people that's their fault. They shouldn't be fat. Or you had that kind of insensitivity. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, honestly, I ain't gonna say the only reason why. Two main reasons why I got the vaccine was when you caught COVID. I was like, dang, if he did everything right and got it, I need to get the vaccine. Sure. And then my dad was in a nursing home. Yeah, right. They wouldn't let you go. So I was like, all right, I need to. Those are two main reasons why I got it. I probably would have been like, not that I would have been anti-vax, but I probably would not have been in a rush to go get it.
Oh, cuz you remember? And my whole, I guess, public time or whatever.
I do remember that.
I kind of it's been, pretty amicable, pretty loving, cool, whatever.
They thought you sold out.
Boy.
They thought you
sold out. When I did that vaccine video, I remember that. I was sitting on my porch, man, like, man, if I see some of these people, they would have to see me. Like, they talking crazy. And I was like, but it taught me something. Like, it really showed what we talking about. You're like, wait, Holmes? Like, what? And like, because again, it's always layered around what, like, these thoughts about what the, and especially that, like, something that was being given to the world, and some people's mind was only designed just for us. I just thought that was,
what's crazy?
The craziest thing
at that
ever to hurt us.
At that time, I was working in Kenyon's office, right? And he was adamant about making sure that we were not X'd out of any resources. When I say we, I'm talking about black people.
Yeah.
That we were not X'd out of any resources that we needed to fight COVID, right? And what happened was, as an office, we were on like 24-hour standby responding to everything, right? And when they first started doing the vaccinations, we got a phone call that the Alabama Avenue Safeway had a long line and it was filled with white people.
Yeah.
Alabama Avenue in 2020.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, man, this can't be. If they over there chasing it like that. And so our office started like figuring out, okay, he started asking us to go to different places where they were giving out the vaccine and monitoring and seeing.
Yeah.
And then going back and trying to spread the word like, hey, listen.
Yeah, making sure that the residents, people got
that
it,
you
man.
get.
They need it, man. I remember my God rest her soul, man, my Aunt Bonnie Slim. You know what I'm saying? She was adamant. She was a big, you just mentioned though, her era, baby boom. She was a big vaccine. Not this ain't just about COVID. Like, she trusts medicine. And like, yo, I've been right. Like, that stuff, like these damn foods, da-da-da. So anyway, it was crazy though. She had so many close calls. She never got it. We used to joke like, Bonnie, you might be what's the lady
Henrietta Lacks.
Henrietta Lacks, Bonnie. Just like big girl, you might be Henrietta Lacks, man, with the
what's
COVID.
Crazy? No seniors I knew that even when they got it, it didn't impact them like it impacted young people.
Yeah.
My father got it twice in the nursing home.
Really?
And he had pre-existing like asthma issues.
Right.
No symptoms. He had it twice.
Hey, but it also might be, because who knows, bro? First of all, and I think it's reality. Like, we probably will never exactly know, exactly what COVID-19 is or was or whatever the case may be, in terms of, was it a weapon? Possibly,
Yeah,
right?
very, very
We
much
do
so.
know it's a virus, but it could have been weaponized, right? But who knows if that older generation, in terms of the vaccinations that they had gotten prior to, or the things that they had, went through already, maybe their bodies did. Who knows? And I think with the medical research will probably go on for another 20 years to monitor that. Same thing with the vaccine, right? Like, like any other thing, any other vaccine, some people, everybody. That's another thing about one of the things I thought was really overlooked during COVID as well. Human beings, like, we really are unique though, bro. Like, you're not me. Like, what a medicine that can work for you may not work for me.
Yeah.
Or a disease that you get, I may not get, or we both get it. It may punish you and not impact me, or virus, not so much a disease. You know what I'm saying? Our bodies are different. So to just say, oh man, I know the CMOS industry went crazy. You think about what went up doing. I mean, I think people did actually, and this may sound like not even being fun, I think people got healthier over COVID, like more health conscious.
Yeah, I know I did.
Clearly.
That was my period when I really got really
I think you and a whole lot of people, and not just in the exercising part of it, but definitely in what they ate.
Food, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Bruh, I remember, and we always joke about our brother Booby on here, but all seriousness, bro,
Yeah, I remember.
I ain't gonna call bro anti-vax. I ain't gonna call my man Mr. Vegan and all that. He just thought if he ate enough vegan food and enough fruits and yellow watermelons and all this,
Big Booby,
that and he run,
yeah,
and faking blast and all this. No, but
that
on
don't
surface,
punish him.
he lives a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
Let's cut all the jokes though.
Yeah.
Live a real healthy lifestyle,
yeah,
right?
Sure.
And I remember he called me like, "Hey, bro, man, I think I got COVID, right?" And he got got the test and he confirmed and all that.
Uh-huh.
So like, say day 2, I'm talking, just check. We talk a lot anyway. So I'm just like, "Fool, you all right? Yeah, I'm all right." It ain't no, I'm just in this joint chilling. Day 3, I could hear it. He was telling me that he was all right, but he sounded different. I'm like, "Hey, bro, you got a thermometer over there, Joe?" You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's, I think his son, was his son? Anyway, I was like, yo, you got a thermometer, bro? He was like, nah.
I remember his son was he kept his son in the room.
Right, so,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I was like, man, you know what? So I said, I'm a send, we just ordered him a thermometer and one thing that was helpful for her, when she first got it, I had it. I was feeling bad, but I remember I walked to the CVS that her father had asked, "Do we got like the oxygen reader? Don't you put on your on your finger?" So we ordered him. That was a lifesaver junk. You know what I'm saying? We ordered him the thermometer and that. And as he got it, took his temperature, and then like I maybe like day 5 or 6 or something like that, he put the oxygen meter joint, and his shit was like super like low, and that's when he went to the hospital. You know, he had to be hospitalized.
Yeah,
you know, so I might get my days mixed up, but that joint progressed and he was in the hospital. I mean, I think they put it on the respirator. It was bad.
I think so. He posted a picture.
Yeah. A person that was in like impeccable health. You know what I'm saying? I always thought it was like, but when I saw that, I was like, man.
Yeah.
But it also, that still don't mean that, it also, like, I think that people started to feel like that, Booby eat and work. He lived like that on the, anyway.
He been doing that, yeah.
He been doing that. But I think some of the things that, like, his practices and others, and, like, what you do, like, people really started to be more open to saying, you know what, especially people in our community, you know what, Muhammad, I gotta work on my health a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because it's a real thing, and I think stress also was a part of that too. As you talked about people working from home, I think one of the things that's teleworking and all that sort of got demonized in a way, but I think that on his face, people was able to like still do their job, but like had some balance, getting out in the elements, like taking a walk, things that you never saw people really doing pre-COVID. You know what I'm saying? I think that's I ain't gonna say never doing, but not as much. Yeah.
It's funny. I'm laughing because, Valerie and I have been married coming up on 15 years, and I mean, like, we've never had any like serious like fallout arguments, right? We've just always been able to talk through things. And it's funny you talked about the divide, right? So she was going to work every day in the office, right? I had Molly at home with me because her daycare closed. It didn't close immediately because remember, kids under 3, they weren't getting it. So after a while, they closed the daycare maybe like in April, right? So the first 2 weeks she was able to go to daycare. But from about April to maybe like, I don't know, several months, it was just me and Molly at home, right?
Yeah.
And the divide between people that work from home and people that work at work, y'all ain't doing that at home. Y'all ain't.
Right.
The only time we really had like a real, like, serious, like, you really throwing me off right now. Like, Molly was late eating solid food. So she was over a year old, not really eating solid food. So we would try to feed her solid food, right? Throughout the day, we would leave food out on the table, see if she meander over and grab it. But she wasn't really taking to it. She was still doing the formula for the most part. And I'll never forget, I was working from home, and I had a busy day. And the plan was I was going to periodically feed her some real food. And Valerie came in, and, I'm still in the meeting.
Yeah.
And she like, did you feed her today? And I was like, nah. And she got mad. Yeah. And I was like, bullshit. I was like, man, you don't know what it's like to be home with this little girl all day and working. And lo and behold, she started working from home. And the first day she was like, I see what's going on.
What legal shooter say?
Yeah.
I understand it now.
I understand it now. But it was like, yeah, man, I mean, it was a load.
It was a lot.
We used to, man, when we were working at home, again, I worked in the council, so that was different than the average experience. But we were helping to feed people. So I used to go to Ivy City Smokehouse on Tuesdays and like Thursdays, pick up food, take it to New Bethel on Florida Avenue. And I had Molly with me a couple of times. Like, she home, I got to go get the boxes. And It was a lot.
You taking me back, bro. That was a time. Remember me and Angel was doing all the pop-ups in the community?
Yeah, with
You
that
know
big
what I'm saying?
18-wheeler truck.
Yeah, man. Doing that, you know what I'm saying, bro? Like, and you know, bro, and God rest our homie, bro. God rest my our brother soul, Cardo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we did the feeding joint around Tyler House.
I remember that.
Remember, I caught COVID right after that.
Okay, yeah.
I'm probably 6 days, 7 days into COVID, bro. I'm talking about hurting. And JB, James Berry called me. Like, Slim Cardo died. Like, the waist. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? Like, what? Like, what?
Yeah.
And even when I had the COVID, Cardo had texted me, and he was saying how he wanted to introduce me to one of his buddies that went to Bowie State with him regarding, like, you know, my dad. You know, remember we trying to, you know what I'm saying? I was like, Mo.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, all that was in COVID, bro. And I had COVID at the time. Like, it was in the pandemic. I never forget that, bro. Like, damn, bro. You know? And you know, we people, not just this community, but across this country, across the world, lost a lot of people. Not to say Cardo didn't die from COVID. But
that period
still,
when we
that
was
period,
distancing.
bro.
Because the part that hurt me about that period of people dying was that I knew some good people that died that I felt like, this is my opinion, they deserved a better homegoing.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
We had had when we got married, we had couples in our wedding.
Right.
So we had older couples that had been married like 15, 20 years. And the oldest couple that we had, the man in that couple, he died during that period. And I couldn't make the funeral, right? And it was like, man, I watched a little bit of it on the streaming, and it's like, man, a person like that, like, the whole community should have been able to go.
What about that, right? The advent of the streaming of the service. That wasn't, I mean, I guess it probably was happening a little bit before then, but like the fact that now it's like a virtual version to most funerals, no matter what.
Most church services.
Services.
People going to Bedside Baptist now more than ever.
Bruh, I remember, man, to that point, goodness, that's deep, young. That is really like taking me back to that period. Like, and we was just be watching this show called The Resident or something like that.
Yeah, I heard of that, yeah.
Hospital-based joint. So the episode she was watching last night, ironically enough, it's like a COVID episode. And they was showing like the patient on the FaceTime with their family. They dying. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, I remember that? That was like happening.
I mean, my father was in a nursing home, and honestly, right, you know, just again, my perspective, we lost a lot of time with him because we couldn't go see him. And I think really that distance played a part in his decline.
Sure.
I would argue that we might have had a couple of more years with him
had it
not been that large gap. And what's crazy is one time he had to go to the ER, and they basically kind of just let us go see him real quick in the midst of that. I saw him physically like one time in like a 10-month period. And it was only because they took him to Howard. And then there was a different set of protocols. I was able to go see him real quick. But yeah, that played a part, I think, in that, you know, maturity of the ailment.
And man, damn, bro, that's deep. And that stuff, I mean, and even not in any way comparative at all. But before my father came home, we hadn't seen him since 2019.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And for the same exact reason, though. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that was, man, and again, what are the impacts of that? Like, some of the things, like, we think we know, but like, for real, bro, humanity changed. Like, we literally human different. I think slowly but surely maybe we getting ourselves, clearly it's just a new normal, right? We never can get back to what it was prior, right? And as things, you know, people back in the office, people back at work, You don't see masks as much. Well, now masks even become a thing where you don't want to see nobody with a mask now. Is now you like them youngins got the masks
Yeah,
on, so you don't
got the
know.
mask on.
You know what I'm saying? But even that,
And that
that's
became
style wise, right?
yeah.
Fashion wise, the shiesty, all these things are like COVID related.
And when we were kids, if you had an acne issue or if you didn't like your facial features, there wasn't much you could do about it that was socially acceptable. And I was telling somebody the other day, this whole mask thing with the kids, it's not even always that the kids are trying to be perpetrators, right?
Yeah, for sure.
They're actually protecting themselves
Yeah.
because sometimes it's like I gotta look like a perpetrator so perpetrator
Correct.
don't perpetrate on me.
Yep. Yep.
Or I don't like how I look, and
Yep.
so now I could cut the camera off on the virtual class, or when I go back, I can make the excuse of a mask.
I can hide.
I can hide.
I can hide because I don't like myself.
I don't
Not
like
so much
myself,
I ain't trying to
yeah.
victimize enough. I don't like myself, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, the fact that this period, sort of birthed, I mean, these different things that we carry with us, even though we quote unquote out of that period. I think you brought up an incredible point that the guy in the book was making though about, sort of a more like have we become too soft? You know what I'm saying? Has technology rid us of some of our necessary like grit?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Resilience, if you will. And that could be not only like sort of like emotional resilience, but like literally our like physical resilience.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I think it's something to think about, but I also don't think that I think that whether it's people washing their hands more, the hand sanitizer stuff is still up. Like you think about stuff that came with that period that's still there. That's gonna help us. That's gonna help us avoid maybe falling back into that. You know what I'm saying? Like when you go into medical facilities specifically, there's still masks around. You know what I'm saying? This is such. People are not like, well, I ain't gonna say all people, but I'm just saying, whether people want to do it or not, right? Like people know how to do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Putting on a mask is like from kids to seniors, because it became such a part of what we had to do for so long. It's like it's like almost programmed. You know what I'm saying?
So I was gonna say this earlier, and now you bringing it up reminded me of it. I was thinking about some of the mutual aid groups.
Yeah.
We talked about the other side where it was polarizing and radicalized, but there were also some mutual aid groups that came up, at least I know in D.C., because again, I was working closely with them, but people who did care enough to put together packages for people who were less fortunate, making sure they created phone trees to contact people who might have otherwise been alienated. And the thing I think about, I thought about it then, but I think about it again in retrospect. I feel like the pandemic and the social distancing and the work from home, it lasted so long that some of the lasting impact wore off. Like if it were like a 4-week drill, everybody probably would have.
Yeah.
And I even said back then, I thought we needed periodic drills like that to keep us on our toes a little bit.
Right.
But when it lasted like 2 years, it's like you just become.
Yeah, and then people get like, and I think it's a lot too about Americans though. Back to the whole like in other countries, right? Say China for instance. Now you gonna do what?
Yeah.
Yo, America's so free, bro, that we can we really could be a days like you know what I'm saying? Like I ain't doing that. Yeah. I ain't with that, but that's as American as it gets. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what makes this place what it is. No matter how you view that, like that ability to choose your own fate. You know what I'm saying? Manifest destiny,
even
bro.
if it's to your detriment.
Even if to your detriment.
Yeah. And I honestly think, we went so far to the left with certain things. That cocktail of COVID, how he responded to it, social unrest, that it created this underbelly that swung the pendulum back super right.
Yeah, bro.
I think that's something that we just
I mean,
gotta
I think that's
be honest about.
you speaking facts, bro. That's what happened, and then and people could ride that. Oh, if it was about civil liberties, and then so you tie the civil liberties to free speech, you know, you to 2A rights. You know, everything sort of it was about. We was talking about the fact of wearing a mask, and now it's like if they come for, if you gotta wear a mask, you gotta take the shot, then they're gonna be coming for your guns and coming for. And I don't say that in a I didn't mean to do that impersonation.
We ain't trying to
trivialize
it. Yeah.
I respect that. Like I'm just saying that that's sort of the kind of, and on the other end, on quote unquote our end, if you will, you know what I'm saying? Same thing. It's like, all right, boom. You know what I mean? We shouldn't be no police nowhere.
Right.
You have people that, you know what I'm saying, shouldn't be no police nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, like, and so it's like, man, I just hope we can, that whatever it is, we can kind of get closer to keep this thing together. You know what I mean? Kind of bring it back and reflect on that moment too, like just that time. I think this is deserving of a shout out too. When you look at too, like the District of Columbia, man, you spoke about mutual aid, and you talk about the city in general rallied around its residents, man. For real, and that's just real. Like the city government did a ton. You know what I'm saying? The national government, the federal government did a ton. You know what I mean? To try to keep some semblance, keep people fed. You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff, man. But I think so. I wish that we could look back on the moments and really talk about that. Those kind of things, right? Versus like the polarizing stuff. You know, you had people in various, walks of life. Look at the restaurant industry. Remember, everybody came out and said, so now in DC, you really didn't see necessarily as much sidewalk seating and all that. The street, what they call it?
Streeteries.
Oh man, look how like what you doing, Si. Let's talk that government talk. Sean Townsend. Oh. Hey, shout out to Sean.
Yeah, Sean played a big factor too.
A major role in that.
A lot of people survived. A lot of entities survived because he was
correct. And at that time, he was still the nightmare. Yeah. But yeah, like seriously, I mean all that. And when you think about
a lot of the food desert money came from that. Go-go money.
Go-go money.
A lot of things came out of that.
Very true.
Federal dollars that they put to good use to be able to keep people afloat.
And shout out to Dr. Nesbitt.
Yes, Dr. Nesbitt.
Who was running the Department of Health at the time, and obviously the mayor and the council, you know what I'm saying? But shout out to Dr. Nesbitt. I mean, it was people, I think, that really, that moment, people rose to the occasion, you know what I'm saying? Conti was still the chief at that time, you know what I mean? It's just a lot that went on in that period, bro. I'm telling you, when people look back.
Yeah, there are parts of it, though, that I obviously don't want COVID to come back.
Right.
But the way I was living at that time, like my lifestyle, there are parts of it that I really missed, though. It was a more simple period, I think. And people joke about it sometimes, like, man, I want to go back to the pandemic. You know what I mean?
Slow down a little bit.
Slow down, yeah.
And one of the things, too, just real quick, too, on that same note about, so I remember the first cohort of Pathways doing, like, in the pandemic, went virtual. You know what I'm saying? And trying to figure that out.
You know what? They actually had me. I did it wasn't a commencement, but I spoke to the Pathways virtually.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I'm just thinking about that. Yeah. And I remember and then the next one, they went kind of like a hybrid. And everybody, again, joking with me, like, Tone, man, I know you ain't. I said, y'all sure ain't. Not me in a room full of
guys who be outside.
24/7. Not me. Yeah, but that was also sort of a beautiful period, man. To just watch that and really to do what I think some thought would not be possible. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like, them getting on every day and all that kind of stuff. So just, the conditions, bro. One of the things about I think any species, right, is about adaptability, right? You know, those that fail to adapt fail to exist.
Yeah.
And so I think that really threw something at humanity, but on a more local level, like, yeah, like people making adjustments. How do you, and right now, today, I was on a Zoom meeting today, right? Remember that was a novelty. People were Zoom, now it's like
Normal
commonplace.
thing, yeah. Team Zoom, normal.
Teams and Zoom is like commonplace. Even when people can't convene it per night, it's a more efficient way.
Yeah.
We can meet in our conference about something, then jump on this Zoom, then jump on this Teams. Well, I'm saying we ain't moving. We in the same place. We get more done. So I think it's some things pulling out that period that people once looked at as like, that's what I'm saying. All that, like, yeah, it's nothing wrong with being in person, but like utilizing these methods actually make us more effective. You know what I'm saying? You could be 3 places at one time. Or at least you cutting out the travel time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You literally, if you want a Zoom, you could do a Zoom at 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30, 12, 12:30.
You on a Soul Cycle bike?
You feel me? 100%. Getting healthy and making it shape.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
We did the bike ride outside, Scooty and I, bike in the city
I
joint.
remember that.
There was a lot of people out there, boy.
Right, and I think people also wanted. Remember we rode down the Black Lives Matter Plaza and all that. Bro.
That all came and gone now.
Yeah,
that was.
Yeah, man, that was a period.
That was a period. Yeah.
That was a period, bro. For real.
It's crazy because, like, I mean, I haven't picked up a textbook in God knows how long, but like when I remember picking up textbooks, at the smallest increment, they dealt with history in tens, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what the textbook look like today, but like the last 5 years, right? You have to make an entire textbook about the last 5 years alone.
Dude, you talk about American history, world history, right?
Yeah.
In the context of the pandemic. But when you talk about American history in the last
5 years, yeah.
And what the next 5 probably is going to be.
Yeah.
And really, it might be, sort of like we watching the evolution of, sort of a changing in what it means to be American.
So funny you say that, because again, read a book, and this book is by a guy who's a billionaire businessman. It's called How to Make a Few $1 Billion. But he said something in the book that really stood out to me when I was reading it last week. He said there's a 50-50 chance that in the next generation, the human race as we know it goes extinct. He makes a very big prediction. He said the caveat is we won't if we embrace merging with technology, where we become a different species, where technology is actually a part of who we are.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about Starlink,
yeah,
and or Neuralink, whatever it's called, yeah. And I mean, AI, of course, is here. It ain't coming. It's here. It's gonna be further fused in everything that we do. So I don't think that's far fetched. I think that's gonna be the only way for us to keep up in terms of being able to control AI. Like for us to maybe, I think that's what this dude. Elon Musk, I think that's him and, all people that's into that as far as the embedding of, computer chips into your brain to make you kind of faster. I think that's the thought behind that, right? That we have to advance, right? And that, just normal evolution ain't gonna be able to keep up with technology, you know what I mean? But, I often think about, Prince, the Sign of the Times, Joe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Well, man ain't truly happy till man truly dies. Like, It's like one of them things where we push the envelope so far. You think about it, bro. Like, if it's like, I forgot who said this, like basically for the human beings, be the greatest thing on earth and also the most dangerous thing on earth. Like in the sense of that, like your ambition or man's ambition, to just push the envelope, to figure things out, whatever you want to call it. But without guardrails, bro, you know what I'm saying? It could be catastrophic for us as a species. Even if even if every baby born gets the chip put in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what is, bro? But not on a whole nother. And then they just announced that they recreated the dire wolf. They bought
After like 10,000 years, right?
Yeah, it was extinct. So I'm telling you, it's a Neanderthal somewhere in a lab somewhere.
That was the other thing he said in the book when he talked about the 50-50 chance of us being extinct. He was like, we're so egotistical, we forget that like 99.6% of species have gone extinct.
Yeah,
So we only experiencing 0.4% of what was as far as species in this world.
Correct. I mean, that's the thing though, right? Like we don't we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, we're here. So your gene pool, like genetic, you here. You know what I mean? Nature is competitive, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess that competition continues. But like them, I don't know how I feel about them things are extinct, I think, too, for a reason. You may say we are the reason. You may say that, right? We are the reason that the dire wolf is extinct. But like, does the environment now? So will you put him in Yellowstone?
You know what else?
You know what I mean though? Like,
Yeah.
do you like what?
Yeah. Well, how do you
reintroduce him to the world today?
Yeah. I ain't think about that. Yeah, the fact that you got to put that wolf somewhere.
Yeah, or at least right. I'm sure that's eventually the goal. And that's the same thing. That's my fear, like with cloning in general, like with people. Like I know they try. I don't know if it's worked yet, but I can so see like they, if you can clone a wolf. I mean, I said wolf is a human, but bro,
So okay, all right.
Lord Silas be walking around this joint,
But what's crazy is, right, we also, in that same period, the evolution of fake news happened, right?
Yeah.
So now,
or somebody calling it that.
Somebody calling it fake news,
calling
right?
it fake news. I mean,
yeah, but there was fake news too, right?
That's what
it's
I
two
mean.
different. Yeah, it's two different planes.
And I was saying too, no, and it's too that it existed prior to that, but it got a moniker, like it got stamped and proven on certain levels that right.
So all those different things moving at the same time, the evolution of like cloning and the merger of technology and human existence, to the point where like I think people are checking out too around information.
Yeah.
Like I don't even watch it. I don't know if it's real or not. I saw a video the other day where apparently, I don't know if it's real or not, but like it was like a 2-minute video of people talking, and they were saying, "I'm not real. I'm artificial intelligence, and I'm talking to you right now, but you can't tell the difference because I look so real in this video."
Was it AI though?
I don't know.
Oh, nobody. See? Oh, we there though.
Oh.
Yeah, they say showing that though. That's what I'm saying, bro.
So now it's easier to not even sneak it under your feet, but now people are checking. So again, that's a part of, I think, the impact of what happened during COVID-19, because we all were home all day. We were getting inundated with information. And the irony in all of this is that when the president got sworn in January, who were right there, right behind him? The tech, social media people.
Yeah, the whole
who played a major factor
in the tech world.
Yeah, so like, it's just, and I'm not saying that to say somebody's right or wrong.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is though.
Because even in Obama's administration, it was documented that of all industries, the ones that spent the most time in the White House were the tech industry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a sign of the times.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's our biggest export. I think about that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we don't our but man, that we could go. I don't even want to go there but that's a fact. You know what I'm saying? And everything when people talk, there's another thing in the world, I think, and that didn't even make no precursor nothing. But like people got to be able to have certain discussions and just like sort of like state what the facts are. It's not, you ain't infusing, there's nothing nefarious about that on its face.
Right. It's just what it is.
It's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I do hope that, as we go into, continuing on in this decade, man, that, the world, not just America, the world is able to come together and be able to protect, humanity from the next the next COVID-19 or whatever else, next pandemic, man, the next virus, it will be another one. Hopefully what we learned from, going through COVID, if something else pops up, that humanity itself will know how to shift to at least stop it, right? So instead of 4 years, it'd be maybe 4 days. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's the only hope in this country, man. We can find a way to get a little bit closer to the middle, man. Yeah, because I think the implications of not doing that, is dire. Yeah, and I think it's something for everybody to think about. Because it when you think about our children and the world that they will grow up in, the country that they will grow up in, man, we want them to have one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For real.
I mean, I think as we look back at these last 5 years, we've talked about the impact negatively and positively in this conversation. But I would say this, man, like you said, the humanity piece is so important. I just want us to really get back to a space where we can have in-person human dialogue with each other. And like you said, it can be civil and we can disagree, but it doesn't define us. And I think if there's anything that happened during the last 5 years that really hurts the most, it's to see again how polarizing and how radicalized people have become to each other.
Yeah, man.
Like, you like LeBron, I like Jordan. I don't know LeBron, you don't know Jordan. We arguing with each other and we know each other and we friends.
Yeah, bro.
And I see that every day. You like Trump, I like Biden, whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
And you spend every day tagging me. Look what your man did.
Yeah, bro.
And it's like people have really become, that's become their identity.
Yeah, man. That's crazy.
It's sad. It's sad.
People need to look in the mirror. They need a wake-up call, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Honestly, bro. And the one thing, we were watching John Handmaid's Tale, and what's crazy about Handmaid's Tale is like the fracturing of America happens based out of coming out of the virus. You know what I'm saying? And the chaos that caused when women couldn't procreate anymore. And there's only a certain amount of women that could, you know what I'm saying? So like this sort of super far right faction took over and created this joint called Gilead. So America was like in pieces or whatever. But watching it, joint, it's so much again though. What we talking about that's like, man, you see people sort of like acting out these certain things and people their point of view better than others, and you know what I'm saying? And one thing about this place, man, it's America, bro. People don't talk about this, a violent joint, man.
Yeah.
And all it takes is like the certain thing to happen that can set off a series of like occurrences, man, that we'll look up and this place ain't what we once knew. And I get all it ain't never been this for us. I'm saying all of this in still in lieu of that. I if don't nobody get that, I get that. You know what I mean? But a lot of them people that be saying that, what it'll turn into, you don't want that.
Yeah.
That shit sound fly. People be talking and all that. You don't want that.
Yeah.
You ain't ready for that.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Burn it down. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
But you don't want that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. But I got faith. I'm optimistic, bro. You know what I'm saying? I think some of this we talking about, too, really start on like we talk about a lot on this show. It ain't about out there and up there and over there. It's about what's up with you and what you can do in your life every day, man, and try to make, this place a better place, man.
I think that's a good way to end it. So, 5 years since a transformative event that turned into, a lifestyle change for everybody and, an existence change for everybody. And we just were thinking about the impact of it. And hopefully y'all are thinking about the impact of it. And if you haven't, hopefully this episode causes you to stop and think about it and to make the appropriate adjustments, because we never know. It could be something else around the corner. So as always, thank you guys for watching the show. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, liking the channel, and also on social media, sharing it. We see that. We appreciate it. And as always, our job is to at least spark the conversation that can help people improve and develop. So From us to y'all, one love.
Peace and love.
Peace.